Thanks, Linda. I'd like to welcome everybody to Growing Concerns for June 26th. Going to start today with a bit of an update. Going to go through some of the issues, I guess, that have happened this past week with crops. I guess we'll be spending a bit of time talking about the wet conditions and the hail. We received another good amount of rainfall last night throughout most of the southwest. I think amounts varied a fair bit, from anywhere from an inch to 4 to 5 inches. So you know, we definitely seen a lot of rain in some places, and you're probably hearing the reports from the Reston area where they've gotten probably 12 or 13 inches in the past 3 to 4 days here. So they're definitely in a situation where they're going to be facing some wet conditions for a while. The rest of us are not as bad, but Cirrus here reports are anywhere between 3 to 5 inches. And as you go north, I think it drops off a little bit and more in that an inch to 2 inch kind of range as you go farther north. But most areas received some rain last night, so adding on to what I guess we received over the past week, I would think most areas are looking at that minimum of 3 to 4 inches. So definitely putting us in a situation where we are going to have a lot of low areas with water. We're going to have a lot of issues with trying to get some of the work done over the next little while here. We are hoping that Mike Warbliski will be on this morning. He had everything ready to go, but because of the storms last night, he is a little bit behind because of all the additional reporting he needs to do. And so he let us know this morning that he might be late. So we're going to have him on at the end if he's able to make it on. If not, he did send me some information that I can share with you, but hopefully he'll be able to come on and maybe explain or give us an update as what we can expect over the next week for weather in the area here anyway. So I guess with that, I'm going to start off and go to the slides that I kind of prepared for today. This is some of the rain we've seen yesterday. We started here, kind of that late evening sort of thing where most of it started coming down, and definitely got lots of rain in a short period of time. The one downpour came and probably gave us 2 to 2.5 inches at one go there, so it definitely was a lot of rainfall in the area. This is what some of the fields look like before the rain we got yesterday. So definitely have a lot of low-lying areas that have water in them, and I would imagine that after the water settles, it's a lot of water flowing right now. The ditches are full, and I would imagine a lot of these low spots are going to be joining together, and we're going to have larger areas and fields that are going to be an issue over the next little while. I'm going to get back to the hail and the water conditions in a minute. I just wanted to, on a weekly basis, we've been watching a winter wheat field that's was in Elmer's area, up in the Shoal Lake area. And I figured I'd go back to the 22nd of May when we first started watching these fields. And this was what the winter wheat field looked like at that time. At that time, there was a lot of questions in a lot of producers' minds regarding whether they should keep it or not. And as we all know, a lot of the fields did get written off. But and this is how the field has progressed. This was last week's picture of that field, and then this is what it looks like this week. So that field has definitely come on really well, just starting to go into the flag leaf, and so probably a week to 2 weeks behind last year's. This is just a different angle of that same field from last week, and again, this is what that angle looks like this week. So again, definitely a field that was worth keeping, and this producer will be happy that he got the growth he did get out of that. So some of the fields did make it. This is one of the minorities, I guess, of the fields that did. So back to the crop update. Again, you know, I mentioned a bit about the rainfall we got over the past week, and now you can add another, you know, 60 to 70 millimeters on top of that for most areas. A lot of the low-lying areas have standing water. Crop-wise, most of the crop has been planted throughout the southwest, except to some of the areas on the extreme south, and you know, those areas, especially after last night, are probably not going to get those fields planted this year. So we're going to have some unseeded acres due to wet conditions, that's for sure. Spraying of most of the early seeded crop is nearly complete right now, and a lot of producers are working on the later seeded crops, as well as a lot of guys who are doing their second pass already on canola crops. These conditions now are definitely going to create a lot of havoc for producers trying to get spraying done, so we're definitely going to see planes working, and after last night we're probably going to see a big demand for airplanes in the area. So I can see where producers are going to be, before they can get on their own fields with their own equipment, it's going to be 3 to 4 days. So most of the soybean crop last week was in the unifoliate stage, and it was kind of early for spraying. This week it hasn't advanced a whole bunch. We're just seeing the first trifoliates coming out on a lot of the soybeans, and just opening up fully right now. So really hasn't advanced a whole lot over this past week. Regarding the crop that's underwater, I guess we're going to be probably I've been getting some calls regarding that already, and we're probably going to get a lot over the next week here. I guess the big thing to do is check for color of the growing point and look for new leaf growth. That'll be the first thing we'll be looking for. Hopefully the water will go down. Again, after last night's rainfall, it's questionable on some of those areas if it's going to go down now. And so basically, if you've got crop that's been flooded for 36 to 48 hours, it's probably going to be in a situation where it's probably going to die off. And basically, you got the water on top of the ground, and you're limiting the amount of oxygen, and the crop just can't handle that. If it was just waterlogged conditions, we definitely could handle, a lot longer, the 3 to 7 days. So, if you've got crop where water is going to be leaving the field and leaving quickly, then, those areas won't be as large for losses. It's another stress on the crop, and when you look at the crops, the cereal crops anyways, we usually, oats and then wheat and barley is the way that they can handle it, and the excess moisture. So again, it's going to be a wait and see thing right now, especially even with the oilseed crops. If the water leaves fairly quickly, then we'll be okay in a lot of those areas. But after, like I mentioned, after last night, with the amount of rain we got, I can see a lot of those low spots where water is going to stay for the rest of the year now. This is just a picture of some soybeans that was taken. I guess this would have been on Monday of this week. So this would have been after the rainfall we had last week. So we definitely had some areas of the field were definitely underwater. Was called out to some of these fields because of hail damage, and the hail damage varied quite a bit throughout the area. There was a strip that went through south of Ceres here, and so I figured I'd put a few slides up to show what some of the hail damage looked like. This is some soybean damage here. You can see where it knocked off pretty much all the leaves except for the cotyledons. There's another picture of a soybean where it got pretty much stripped right off all of the leaves. And the big thing with these is in 2 to 3 days, hopefully we'll be starting to see some regrowth. And when I was out there on Monday, we weren't seeing much for regrowth yet. A lot of the crop was, there was a lot of water that went through a lot of these areas as well, and so a lot of the crop is still kind of suffering through and not really advancing very far. So I think the big thing with these is there's still some green material on the plant, and with the green material being there, the plant can still produce or go through photosynthesis and be able to hopefully develop some new shoots. So I think, and if you look close here, it almost looked like this one here is starting to throw something out. So again, you know, I think it's with most of it, it's going to be a wait and see. This particular field had probably out of a section field, there was probably 100 acres in one corner of it that there was absolutely nothing, because it seemed to be where the majority of the hail went through that area. So be interested to see what happens there, because it was hard to even find plants in those areas. That same stretch also had some canola plants that received a fair bit of damage as well. And with that, canola seems to be one of the ones that we deal with on a yearly basis with hail damage. And you can see where a lot of the leaves were ripped right off. A lot of the stems are broken, but canola is definitely a fairly forgiving plant, and it can definitely grow through a lot of stresses. And I think the big thing there is to watch for new growth. And on this plant, we were seeing new growth already starting to come out of one of the areas where a leaf had attached to the plant. So you know, we're definitely seeing some new growth coming. Interesting to see with all the rain and the hail that went through. The flea beetles still were able to live through it. So they are definitely a hardy insect. But regarding the hail damage, I think again with the canola, it's probably going to make it, and it's going to come back. There, however, was areas of that same field where you know, there was absolutely nothing left. I guess one of the things with the canola being damaged, there will be definitely some issues with disease now with some of these crops. So I think if you've got producers that experience some hail damage or even some heavy wind damage, because we did have some strong winds over the last couple storms here, I think they need to be checking those fields and just monitoring them, and maybe having to make some decisions regarding maybe some fungicide applications that maybe they weren't planning a little bit earlier on. That same stretch, this is a field of wheat that got hit. Again, you know, you could see a fair bit of damage when you think about what stage that the rest of the crop was probably, you know, in that six leaf, 3-tiller range sort of thing. So this crop was fairly far advanced, and now when you walk through that crop, there definitely wasn't a whole bunch left of that crop. So it'll be interesting to see how much comes back there. And again, you can definitely see where, you know, a lot of the water was flowing off the field and creating a fair bit of damage. So again, just a little bit about the hail damage. So after the hail damage, we've been getting some calls regarding, you know, top dressing or a fungicide application to help to reduce the impact of the hail. And I guess the big thing with the application of fungicide or top dressing is that there hasn't been a whole bunch of research done on this, so we really don't have any concrete data that's showing if you were to go out there and add some nutrients or add you know, throw a fungicide on there, that you'll create extra yield or reduce the impact of your yield loss. But I guess when you think about you know, what a fungicide or some nutrients would do, it would actually help to kind of give the plant a kickstart and get it going. So you know, when you're looking at nitrogen and sulfur, you really don't need a lot of leaf material for them to take up the nutrients. Usually most of those are taken up through the root system. So you know, that would definitely be something to look at. Or you know, a fungicide, like I mentioned earlier on, to help reduce some of the impact of, say, some of the diseases that are going to happen. Wouldn't be a bad idea to leave a test strip just to see if there is any, you know, any benefits for putting it on, and just to see something for yourself in the future, because like I said, hasn't been a whole lot of work done on it. big thing to remember is the leaf material is going to be reduced. So if you're in a situation where you're looking at, you know, they'll say those soybeans that I was showing pictures of where there's very little leaf left, you know, coverage is going to be important, and when you don't have a lot of leaf out there, it's going to be, you know, try to keep your water volumes up, I guess, and try to get as best the coverage as you can. I'm going to go through some of the other crops now and leave some of the weather for a bit here, and like I mentioned, hopefully we can get Mike on later on, and then he'll be talking a little bit more about the weather. But I'm just going to go through fall rye right now. Some of the fields in the area here are flowering and completing flowering already. So the fall rye is definitely advanced a lot faster than the winter wheat that was left out there. And so we're looking at, you know, probably looking at the winter wheat or fall rye being, you know, 2 to 3 weeks ahead of the winter wheat right now. So definitely the fall rye is going to be coming in early. And then just another picture of the flowers on the rye head. Sunflowers, we don't have a lot of sunflowers in the southwest this year, but the fields that I've been in look extremely good so far. They've been off to a good start. I think the biggest thing that they're requiring is some heat to get going and just developing. But we've got really good germination. I haven't seen a lot of insect issues in them yet, so far so good for sunflowers. Corn, this is one that we have quite a few acres in this year in the southwest, and I'm seeing quite a variance in the crops depending on, I guess, depending on planting day, I guess, but and some of the crop that was up, you know, a little bit earlier here has been able to take advantage of some of the warm days and has jumped fairly good. This field I was in on Monday is definitely, you know, taking off. It's if you look at it, it's extending. It's you know, basically just it's set right now, and all it needs is heat to get going. So this crop here looked really well. However, I was in some fields where, you know, it was only in the 3 to 4 leaf stage sort of thing, or 4 leaf stage. And when you get a situation like that, you know, we always had the saying that you'd like your corn to be knee-high by the 1st of July. Well, this one is probably not going to be making the knee-high. It's, you know, one that's going to be needing a good fall and definitely needing some heat from here on in. Was in some fields of barley and wheat this past week. I've been getting a couple calls, and it was started off in an area where there was some just some lighter soil, and on the hilltops it was showing up where some barley, in this case here, was showing some streaking on the leaves and some striping on the leaves and just general yellowing on those areas, and they were definitely noticeable in the field. We went out there and grabbed some samples and sent them away. And then the following day, I was called to another area, you know, pretty much right near the Saskatchewan border, and maybe a little bit heavier soil, but it was all the hilltops again. And this time it was in a field of wheat, and I'm seeing the streaking as well. Got the results back from the lab, and there was no insect or disease issues showing up in those fields. So we got looking back into both producers, I guess, chemical history of use on the land, and right now it's looking like a group 2 residue issue showing up on those hilltops. A little bit lighter soil. During the wet years of 2011, a lot of express pack used, then a lot of pre-pass used in one case. So it's looking like we're having some issues with some group 2 residues. So I guess something producers need to be aware of, I guess, is if you're you know, keep a good track of your spraying records, and need to be looking at spreading out some of these group 2s, especially when we're looking at, using some of them in crop as well. You know, producer in this case on his wheat was probably, I think he was going to be using Everest, or did spray Everest on this field. So, you know, there's another group 2 on top of that. So we definitely seen the effects of it there. So watch out for chemical rotations. We're starting to see some of those issues and some of the buildups on some of our lighter lands. Peas. Peas are starting to cover the ground, and I touched on peas a little bit last webinar, and just wanted to talk maybe a little bit more about Mycosporella, and it's a disease that we have we usually see it every year in peas, and a lot of producers are spraying fungicides to help control it. And just going back a slide here to show, you know, that these peas are going to be covering the ground fairly soon. So if you're looking at applying a fungicide, you're going to need to get on it pretty quick, because one of the things about Mycosporella is it does affect seems to affect the lower parts of the plant first, and you need to get the fungicide down to the bottom of the plants in order to get good coverage. So spraying of a fungicide is going to be important over the next little while here. Just a few notes on Mycosporella. It's a blight on the leaves and leaves small purple lesions, and you can see that on the past slide here. You can see the purple lesions on the leaves. Those lesions turn a brownish black color, and a lot of times once they get big enough, they'll join together, and your leaf will dry up prematurely. And a lot of times when they dry up, they still stay attached to the plant, so they'll still be there. They'll just be a dried leaf sitting on the plant. Infection of the flower usually causes the flower to abort, and then if you get infection on the pods, what will happen is you'll get the staining on the pod, and a lot of times that stain will work its way through the pod and onto the seed. So, you know, something that will definitely affect quality. Fungicide application can be done. There are several products that are registered for control of Mycosporella, but the application needs to be done before you start noticing the disease, or before the crop canopy is in, so you can get good coverage. In conditions like we're having right now, some producers may be looking at a second application, because damp, humid conditions are going to be favorable for the disease, and we have had it in certain years where we have lost a fair bit of yield because of it. So, you know, just something to watch for. Again, just showing some of the lesions on the lower leaves, and then this was a picture from last year, and just a lesion on a pod. You can see where it's going to start staining the pod. So, with peas, something to watch for. Flip over to canola now. Canola is starting to bolt in some areas now, and with that, I thought it would be important for us to maybe talk a little bit about fungicides on canola, because that's going to be one of the next pressing things that I guess producers are going to be looking at to try to keep on top of disease issues. And again, with the moist conditions we have now and the humidity we're going to be getting, I would imagine that it's going to be just a natural that we're going to have issues with disease in canola. So timing is going to be critical. So you look at the picture in the background. This picture was taken on Monday, and you know that's not quite 10% bloom yet. It's you know, probably that 4 to 5% bloom. It doesn't take long to get to the 10% bloom, and when you look in the bottom there, I've got a couple pictures. That's what 10% bloom would look like, and then you're at 50% bloom there. So, you know, I guess just to be aware, we're definitely seeing a lot of the canola is going to be bolting soon, so that's something to keep on top of. A little bit about Sclerotinia. You know, the risk is going to increase with the rains and moist soil during the 2 weeks before canola flowering, so that's kind of the stage we are right now. Moisture will help the sclerotia germinate in the soil, so the sclerotial bodies that overwintered from last year are going to be germinating right now, and with that you're going to get increase the number of apothecia shooting spores into the canopy. So they'll be germinating now, and the spores are going to be around. So if we get any rain after flowering, you know, the splashing of the rain will definitely get the the Upate going up into the air and landing on the flowers. And you know, I would say if we look at what happened last year with the risk and the conditions we have now, we probably are going to have some sclerotinia issues in the area. So I guess be on top of it. Regarding doing pedal tests and stuff like that, I was just thinking that right now we have conditions favorable for sclerotinia, and I'm thinking that's something we should be starting to just be prepared to budget for spring, because there's potential is definitely going to be there. I guess with that, just one more slide on sclerotinia, and just to comment again about the mushrooms. The mushroom on the bigger part of the slide is not a mushroom from a sclerotia body. The ones below are. You notice the difference where they're like an inverted top, and they are a lot smaller. And so I know we got a couple emails and pictures sent to me over the last couple of days with guys out in the field and seeing a lot of mushrooms growing, and given the warning that there's a lot of mushrooms kind of growing, so we're going to have a lot of sclerotinia. I agree that the chance of sclerotinia is high, but just be sure that we're looking for the right type of mushroom out there. I'm going to switch over a bit now from talking about the crops and disease to talking about some of the insect issues. And if you remember last week, Elmer sent some information regarding the wireworm issue field he had up in his area, and he was putting the bait ball out to see if he could attract any of the wireworms. Well, he was sent this picture in, and he was able to, I guess, track the adult phase of the wireworm. That's what you see there is the click beetle, and that's the adult phase of the wireworm. So kind of lets us know that the issues in that field were probably wireworm issues. So again, just to show you that the bait ball worked, and actually worked within 7 days, so within a short period of time. Aster's yellow, talk a little bit about that. I guess, and there's the aster leafhopper. I guess one of the things last year we had a pretty major issue with Aster's yellow in canola. Pretty much every field we were in had it. We had it in a lot of the other fields as well. Flax was showing issues with Aster's yellow, and I guess the report so far this year is that the aster leaf hopper with the reduced south winds, we're not seeing a lot of them up in Canada here yet, and so predictions are right now is that we may not have as big an issue this year as we had last year. So the leaf hopper numbers are down, and because of that, the virus that they're carrying isn't here, and because of that, we should see less issues. Now, hopefully our traps and the data we've been collecting is right, and if it is, then these numbers will definitely be good news for that, because last year some producers were talking high percentage infection, and then combining that into a yield loss. Cutworms are still causing injury, and Elmer sent this picture over the last couple of days here, and you can see the canola plants. That one there was probably in the 4-leaf stage, not far off being ready to start bolting, and was cut down by a cutworm. Overall, the cutworm losses throughout the area have been fairly low. There has been some hot spots, and I guess that's always the issue. But right now, with talking to John Gavlosky, the cutworms are advancing into their final larval stages. Larval stages are turning into pupae, so their life cycle is is starting to wind down. So probably a lot of the damage that we'd be seeing by cutworms, over the next week here is probably going to slow down a fair bit. So if you haven't had to spray yet, that's another I guess issue that hopefully we'll be done and through with right now, and which is a good thing. So if it's made it this far, it's probably going to be okay. Flea beetle numbers, even though you're still seeing them out in the field, they're starting to decline as well. So that's a good thing. Canola plants are a lot bigger now, right? And so they're probably not going to be doing as much damage as they could as they would have done about 2 or 3 weeks ago to a lot of the canola plants, but they're declining right now anyways. Got a picture sent to me from Brad Iwanyuk. He works for FMC, and he was in the area and in the Melita area, and he found a canola plant that was cut off, and then dug it around and found this guy in there. Sent it off to John, and John sent John Gabowski, our entomologist, and he sent it back saying it was a larva of a scrabble beetle, and it's basically the same family as the white grub or the dung beetle. Again, this was found in the Melita area. Now, it'd be interesting to see if we could get a few more samples of this guy. This one was kind of hard to tell from the picture, so there are some people doing some work on these, just to see what type of populations we have. So it'd be interesting to I'm going to get in contact with Brad just to see if we can find that field and see if we can see if there's any more issues. And I guess the big thing is hopefully this rainfall moisture that we've gotten over this past little while is not going to affect being able to find some of these things. But this is what kind of the staging of that beetle is, and I guess if it gets to be a little bit bigger, and that's what it was hard to tell from the picture, if it's bigger than 3 to 4 millimeters at the larvae stage, then it could be a different bug there or a different member of the family. So, grasshoppers. Grasshoppers were starting to hatch quite a few lately in some of the ditches and edges of fields and fence lines, and so they were starting to do some damage and some feeding, but again, they don't like the wet conditions, so I'm hoping that we're going to see that slow down a fair bit over the next week here because of the fact that they might be washed into lower areas, and maybe some of them not surviving some of the heavy water that's going down some of the ditches and areas in the field where they may be hatching. Wherever the ones that are making it, once we get some heat, they're going to be active again and be feeding. So I guess just because we got some wet conditions, it doesn't mean that they're not going to be around. So definitely need to keep an eye out on them still. Elmer sent this. Don't have a whole bunch to say about it, but it was just a hem field, 0-till north of Strathclair, coming up real nice, looking like a real good crop right now, and just showing, I guess, we got some real diverse crops growing in the Southwest. A little bit about the hay crop. Alfalfa is starting to bloom. A lot of producers that are in the dairy or in the market for selling hay have been doing some cutting and baling, and some guys have been doing some silage and getting some of the first cut done already. I was in some fields over the past couple of days here, and was surprised to see how the crop has extended from some of the rainfall and some of the heat we have gotten. And so some of the crop has definitely gotten to be a lot taller than it was, say, 2 weeks ago. So that's a good thing. So hopefully that'll mean we'll be closer to average yields. A lot of predictions before that we're looking at below average yields. And then when you're out there, you're definitely seeing some bugs around, and I was kind of looking more for the alfalfa weevil to see if I could find any larvae to see if they were feeding on the leaves, but then I found the blister beetle and feeding on some of the flowers, and blister beetles are fairly common. a lot of times you'll see them on Canada thistle in canola fields and or any fields where there's a lot of Canada thistle. You often see them feeding on them. So again, not a bug that's really a big concern. Every week I've been putting on the rainfall and the growing degree days from the past week, and I guess the rainfall since May 1st. And when you look at our growing degree days here, we're looking at being very coming close to normal, I guess is what you can call it. So we're definitely getting close to where we should be, and then you can see that in some of the crops that require lots of heat units to grow. We're seeing the development of corn and sunflowers, and you can tell those crops are just ready to go as long as they can get some heat here. And then when you look at our rainfall amounts, and then you look at how we've improved in some areas and how we've gotten a lot more in some areas where we probably don't need rainfall for a while, but I would say most areas right now that a couple weeks ago in some of the areas like Russell we were at 50% of normal, and right now we're knocking at 100% of normal, and that's basically the last couple rainfalls. And then when you look at an area, say like Brandon, the Pearson area, and those are the areas that are really wet, and the areas that got hit again last night. They're definitely well over their normal, and are going to be in situations where water is going to be an issue over the next week to 2 weeks here. Just right there is where I had set up for Mike to talk a little bit about the weather, and I don't think he's available yet, so I'm just going to keep going, and I'm going to talk about the weed of the week. And the weed of the week this week I picked was roundleaf mallow, and picked it because it's starting to become more of an issue in some of our cropland. It's usually found in gardens and farmyards and shelter belts, but it seems that it's kind of spread out into some of our cropland and can become very competitive once it gets established, and it spreads fairly quickly, produces lots of seed, and can be a real problem once it gets established in your grainland. It's usually an annual, but sometimes it does germinate in the fall, so it's a short-lived perennial as well. It reproduces by seed and seed alone. When you look at it as a seedling, you've got cotyledons that first emerge, and they're spade-shaped, and you could definitely see the veins. Then you get your first leaf coming up, and you've got leaves that are alternate. They're rough on the margins, and they're circular, so fairly easy to tell. As it matures, it produces a flower that's kind of a really small flowers, but they're off-white to a purplish-white type flower. And when you look at the seeds, it's kind of a little harder to see on this one, but they're like a round disc, and they are fairly hard seed, and they say they can stay dormant up to 100 years. So once you get them as a weed in your field, you're going to be dealing with them for a while. I guess one of the other things about them is they don't usually germinate till the soil warms up really good, into that 15 degrees Celsius. So I could see sometimes when we're spraying, we might be missing them, especially in burn-offs and stuff like that, because they wouldn't be up yet. And if we don't keep tabs on them when they're in the field, then you can see where they can go, kind of go undisturbed for until they become a problem. Another weed that, and I spelled it wrong, it should be an M, so Dames rocket, D-A-M-E-S rocket, and we got this brought into the office a week ago now, I guess, and it's was showing up in some of the sloughs, trees, bush areas, kind of areas that are not well traveled, but definitely has a purplish type flower that makes you can definitely see it. It's getting a few people calling about it. Some people thinking it was purple loose strife, and it does produce a large amount of seed, and it can take over an area fairly fast. And because it's usually in areas where there's not a lot of easy ways of controlling it. Usually it goes unchecked and basically is left to grow on its own. So you can see where eventually it would take over large areas. When it gets to this stage, the best way to get rid of it, if you've got some and you want to get rid of it, is to either cut it off at the base or pull the plants out. Spraying it right now is probably not going to do a whole bunch. It's a fairly large plant. It's got a lot of leaf material, and you're probably not going to do a whole bunch to it. A glyphosate, as it starts to regrow, would be a good thing to get rid of it, but you'll also be getting rid of some of the grass in most of those areas as well. So take a look at the leaf. You can see it's a large leaf. It clasps the stem as it goes up. The stem has got hairs on it, and you can then see again it's a jagged type leaf. So again, fairly easy to distinguish. The flower gives it away. Now I'm just going to check with Linda to see if Mike is around.
No, unfortunately he hasn't made it into the webinar yet, Lionel, but I do have a question. Someone is asking if the cutworms get to what size of cutworm or stage would you recommend not spraying?
I can get you to repeat that question, Linda. I didn't have the volume up high enough.
Sorry. Mike is not here, but I do have a question. At which stage of the cutworm would you recommend that they not spray, where it would not be effective?
Well, basically right now, if you're seeing cutworm damage still right now, it's still in the larvae stage, and that's the stage where you would be effective to kill it. And like I had mentioned earlier on, we're probably getting to the end of that stage, and after that stage, you won't be seeing the cutworm around. It'll go into the pupae stage, and it'll be done for the year. So basically, if you're still seeing issues right now, the larvae stage is the stage you want to be spraying at. But remembering that their life cycle is just about done for this year, that maybe if you could get away with a couple days without the damage getting any worse, you probably would be well off saving that money and not having to spray at all. Well, Mike had sent me a few things, and I'm going to okay, so this is the total growing degree days, and we kind of talked about this with the one slide I had set up already. And so we're looking at, basically, like I had mentioned before, we're basically getting to normal for what our growing degrees days would be for this time of year. So the growing degree days is there. Percentage and normal for our corn heat units. Looking at yellow and green for most of the southwest and southeast part of the province. So we're anywhere from 90 to 100%. So we're right in that range where we're almost at our normal amount, and some areas right around the 100% where the brown is. So again, we're pretty much right on par with our heat units and our growing degree days. Percentage of normal rainfall, again, talked about that a little bit earlier on. You look down into the Pearson area, which is the dark blue, you know, they're 200% of normal. You look through basically the southwest corner, we're all, you know, anywhere from 150 to 200% of normal. Like I mentioned, the last rainfalls we got up in the northern part of the area brought us up into that, you know, 100 to 125% of normal. So I think the big thing we're facing right now is maybe excess moisture in the extreme southwest, and then once you get out of that area, the remainder of the province is looking at about, you know, about normal precipitation right now. And then the amount accumulated, so again, you know, basically just showing again the same area where you've got that rest in through to Pearson, where you've got you know, 200 to 225 millimeters since May 1st. So, you know, definitely lots of rainfall, and these numbers wouldn't include what happened last night. So. This is the fusarium head blight map, and basically showing you know, the risk, and you know, basically if this is June the 20th through the 21st, the 22nd, the 23rd, and the 24th, 25th, and we've gone from moderate to extreme for fusarium head blight throughout the majority of western Manitoba, and it tapers off as you get to the eastern part of the province. But and you know, with the rainfalls we've had and the humidity we're going to get from those rainfall events, you know, you can definitely see why they're predicting high chance of fusarium throughout most of the western part of the province. And I think with that, I guess Mike is tied up, so Mike is not going to be able to be on the webinar today. And I guess with that, I'm going to just, I guess, finish off with the regular slides that we normally have here. And so if you're going to be watching the webinar later on, we basically just need a few lines saying, describing what the webinar was, and get it sent to us. And here's the email address. Is the best to send it to Linda. There's our contact information, and I'd like to thank people that have been sending stuff to us to get out to everybody. It definitely helps in keeping everybody kind of up to date and as current as possible. So keep sending stuff in. And if you're not sending it here, you could pick these guys. They're the FPAs in the Southwest and South Parkland areas, and that's their contact information there. I guess with that, if there's no questions, I think we'll end the webinar for today.